years ago, we reached out to our membership and asked, how can we make our conferences better? And we do that on a regular basis. And very loudly and clearly, our membership said, we don't really need these numerous experts from the outside. We can learn from each other. We have so much to share, and we have so much talent among our own membership group. And we agreed, and what came from that was something called Ignite Sessions, which what it is an opportunity for three very brave, risk-taking members of our community to spend 10 minutes just talking about one topic and leaving us with something that would spark an idea and a thought, and hence why it's called Ignite Sessions. So I am so appreciative, very appreciative, of the following three individuals brave enough to share Ignite Sessions this morning. And that is Lavelle Brown, Superintendent of Ithaca City School District, who will be speaking on creating a culture of love, liberation, and belonging. Kevin McGowan, Superintendent of Brighton Central School District, will be talking about joy to the world, an opportunity to lead and love. And finally, Marie Wiles, Superintendent of Guilderland Central School District, who will be speaking on To Thine Own Self Be True. We could not do these sessions without our partners, and again, I thank very much the partner Imagine Learning, who is in booth 26. Please make sure you take some time to see them, and there is a very brief video introducing Imagine Learning, so we can begin with that. Thank you.
New York superintendents. These past few years have brought unprecedented challenges to ourselves, our teachers, and our students. To meet these challenges, Imagine Learning has taken the next step to empower more educators, engage more students, and connect more families to learning. We have brought all our products together under one brand, united by one mission, to support New York educators and students with every aspect of their learning journey. Imagine being the change you wish to see in education. Imagine being a leader who not only innovates, but inspires. Imagine the possibilities. Imagine Learning. Let's do something great together.
Again, thank you, Imagine Learning, and they are at booth 26. And now it is my pleasure to introduce our first Ignite Session speaker, Lavelle Brown, for his session entitled Cultivating a Culture of Love, Liberation, and Belonging. Lavelle?
No need to That's my jam right there. Hey, good morning, colleagues. It's good to see you. Congratulations, Donna. Congratulations, Roberto, 2021 Superintendent of the Year. Yeah. It's been, Facebook reminded me this morning that it's been 5 years since I was on the stage with my family in the room. For the folks who were here then, you remember my mom and dad and my whole family stood over there. And Chuck, in the way that Chuck does it, Chuck said, "Who's the tall guy with your family?" Like, Chuck, that's my twin brother, bro. So anyway, so I'm gonna be both humble and vulnerable with y'all right now. I'm gonna share with you an image that I've never shared before. That's my brother right there. That's me and my ace. And you know, my twin brother and I, we grew up in a very rural, small part in central Virginia on a dirt road. And we grew up there, and I said to y'all back then, there was a cohort of about 10 of us who grew up together. And my brother and I are the only two who survived that dirt road. Now, we say it's not because of the love we didn't get on that dirt road. We had amazing families. But that love at home was not always coupled by a love at school. And as I think about that cohort of 10, while everyone knew us as the black boys, I think about how 3 were gender nonconforming. 2 didn't go to Evergreen Baptist Church with us on Sunday afternoons. 1 was even wealthy, but still living with other folks who were growing up in severe poverty. See, as I think about my cohort of 10, I think about diversity. And as my son has been hearing me talk about diversity now for 2 decades, and no one really understands it, and people say you can't use that term, he says, "Daddy, talk about the intersections of culture. Show him the X-Men." See, he's a comic book fan. He said, you know, they wrote laws to oppress the X-Men because they were so beautiful and diverse. When he sees diversity, when he thinks about diversity, he thinks about them. And yet folks are saying this conversation about equity and inclusion and diversity is all about black and brown students. See, diversity, and then there's this notion of equity. See, equity is about reducing the predictability of who succeeds and who fails. My twin brother and I are still the only two to survive that dirt road. For generations, our data has been the same. It's been pretty predictable. If you look like me, or if you're growing up in poverty, or if you have a disability, you aren't doing so well in our schools. My mama would say it's gotten worse. And see, what we know we need to do to reduce that predictability is to interrupt the practices that we know are negatively impacting our young people. Our biases, our policies, code of conduct, grading. We know that's producing disproportionate results, and yet what have we done to interrupt it? And cultivating the unique gifts and talents. See, I'm the kid who couldn't talk until 9th grade. See, my gifts were cultivated because a 2nd grade teacher said to my mama while playing bingo, he can communicate with his eyes and hands better than anybody I've ever seen. We'll teach him how to talk. So let's talk about what we mean by this notion of equity. And see, these are the terms that I know are getting people upset. People are coming to our board meeting saying you can't use these terms. In the grocery store, you run away from the folks who say, hey, stop saying that. So if you can't use the terms diversity, equity, and inclusion, how about calling it the rings of culture? Or X-Men. Hey, I've never seen a PO deny for an X-Men conference. If you can't say equity, call it the law. Every Student Succeeds Act, No Child Left Behind, disaggregate your data by race, class, and disability, and where you see that there are issues, do something about it. See, if you love everybody, when you look at the results from our data and our system, when you look at the results from our systems and policies, you see disproportionalities. And if you love everybody, you do something about it. I call that a love for humanity. Other folks call it inclusion or anti-racism. See, if you can't use those terms, use a different term. That day in 2017, my journey changed from academic to authentic. Because when I was walking up on the stage, my mama said, they can give you all the fancy awards they want, but if you don't change the way this room looks, you ain't done nothing. So my journey changed from talking about statements and statues. My daddy said, hey, in Charlottesville, we spent generations talking about those daggone statues. They finally came down and ain't nothing changed around here. My journey is different now. The academic journey can get you awards. The authentic journey can get you fired. You see, this authentic one is about cultivating our schools and school districts to be laboratories for social change, and is in our standards. This authentic journey looks like real culturally responsive teaching practices at scale. This authentic journey looks like us changing our policies to be anti-ableist, classist, sexist, racist. This authentic journey is about love, and love is not the default. Love is the struggle. You see, this is what I respond with when the folks show up to meetings like this. And I've been in rooms where people are coming, you're indoctrinating our kids. You're erasing our culture from the curriculum. You can't do that. You're a Marxist. I still don't even know what that is, but I've been called everything. But what I do is like a good educator, I validate them for, thank you for bringing this passion in here. I appreciate you. I love you. I haven't had this many people in a board meeting in all my life combined. So my mama took us to board meetings every Tuesday night, and she said the exact same things. That's probably why I'm a superintendent. You see, I appreciate that energy. We need that passion because what we do is this. What we're doing and why we do it is because of student voice and agency. We're responding to our young people. They say, we ain't uncomfortable with this conversation. You are. Our young people are saying, yeah, we want you to help us learn how to think, not what to think. We want you to help us master the standards. And we're doing this work because of our love for humanity. Let's unpack it a little bit. See, let's define student voice and agency, because like I say, everybody wants student voice and choice until they get it. And see, for us, it's about, having every experience our young people have in our schools to give them a sense to unpack who they are and who we are. A sense of belonging. See, we have committed to every single thing we do is going to be in partnership or led by young people. Our policy shifts, our curriculum design, everything has a young person with us or leading it. Real talk. Y'all folks know I hand my Twitter feed over to a young person at least once a month, and they say, Dr. Brown, don't change your picture now. Yeah, Dr. Brown. Yeah, see, when Malcolm started tweeting about how they feel marginalized and oppressed in our schools, we changed our policies, our SIS. Preferred pronouns and names are being used. Yes, our capital project has changed around restroom usage. We now have, wait for it, restrooms. Our affinity groups, our young people have said, we want to organize according to affinity groups. Our rural students are saying the inequities in our rural community are real. Inequity isn't just about young people of color. Yeah, we have inequities in our rural schools right now around a lot of issues. Let's talk about it. Our students of color, yeah, give us a day to organize around our cultural backgrounds. The food we eat, the music we listen to, how we dance is going to be culturally responsive. We'll show you how to do it, Dr. Brown. See, that's student voice and choice. And when you do that, they will give you more and more data. We call it our street data. 3 through 8 test scores are important, graduation rates are important, but the most important data we get is what we get from our young people through our empathy interviews, through our instructional rounds. Ask your students to send you 60-second videos about their experiences. That's real data. And when you do that, wait for it, they will come, they will protest, they will rebel against what we have engineered, and that's part of the process. We have a protest in my school district every daggone day, and I love it. That's what they're doing. That's voice and choice. Efficacy. I am changing what's happening in my schools, and because of that, my mental health is improving as well, too. Power and control of my environment. Thinking. Y'all know our vision is 6,000 plus thinkers in Ithaca. Yeah, you're a thinker if you're creating new things, new discoveries, understanding yourself, being able to collaborate with someone who's different than you. Yeah, we've been talking about what it is to be a thinker, but I'm going to summarize academic literature around thinking. Yes, somebody thinks about that all day. We think that last acronym, DSRP, when we take an idea or a standard through the lens of differences, similarities, relationships, and perspectives. We've done an amazing job with differences, similarities, relationships. But where we struggled is what perspective. When have we taken our standards and our content through perspectives and asking young people to take multiple perspectives? I was one of the first students of color to take an AP course in the state of Virginia. Now, no one talked to me in that class because they didn't want me there. But I took that course. My daddy gave me my AP US history book when I went home a couple months ago. And this was an image in that text. It was a standard that we were supposed to cover. Serviceman Readjustment Act 1944. I know most folks in the room probably don't know what that is. We all had it as part of our curriculum. Why? Because it's access to the American dream. The GI Bill, if you're still wondering. Access to generational wealth. These were images that were being used at the time that were in my AP US history book to help folks and to inspire folks to go get access to those zero interest loans, unemployment benefits. For the folks in the room, comparing and contrasting to what's happening today, back then, comparing and contrasting multiple iterations of the GI Bill, Serviceman Readjustment Acts. But see, what we didn't do, and this is why I forgot about it until 2021, what we didn't do is talk about this image here, which was on my Uncle Jake's coffee table every time I went over there. Uncle Jake used to cut our hair every Friday when I had hair. My twin brother would go there, and I never knew why he had that image there. Uncle Jake came back from the war. He went to apply for those benefits, and y'all remember what was happening in Virginia back at that time. When he went to apply to start his barber shop, they told him, you can't have access to these funds. And he saw this piece of legislation that said another way to marginalize and oppress. He died far too young on that dirt road in severe poverty. Y'all see what I just did there? We validated and affirmed multiple perspectives. I also shared multiple perspectives. Nobody's going to forget what the Serviceman Readjustment Act 1944 is in this room. Why? Because you thought about it. See, take every assessment, every unit through this lens. Modify and revise what you have right now and ask yourselves, can I use this to help young people understand something about themselves and others? Yes. Can I modify it to be something that we can use to unpack influence, power, oppression? Our curriculum has done that now. Our young people are solving real-world problems that are relevant to their local communities. Sexism, ableism, classism, racism. They can't get enough of it. And then there's humanity. By nature, we sort and select. We exclude. We rank. Our young people are saying, we can't do that no more. This school is for everyone. So we need to put in place policies and systems to curb our natural instincts. Create a sense of belonging. Access to basic rights. Our young people need that. They desire that. What will we do to make sure it happens for them? See, this is who we be. Who we be. My daddy asked me that day, who you be? And at the time, I responded with, we'd be testing, we'd be punishing, we'd be denying. What I'm trying to say to y'all is we need to be loving. Can we take what we do through this lens? Are you loving? Are you forgiving when you give zeros? Are you patient when you exclude? That's what we need to be. Let's take what we do through this lens of reflection, conflict, and policy. We reflect in a real way. Reflection is inevitable. The conflict is inevitable, but the combat is optional. Our leadership is needed now more than ever to put in place policies that will be sustainable. Reflection, conflict, policy. And I'll leave you with this image, because my mama passed at the beginning of this awful pandemic. And my mama was a true abolitionist. She stood in front of an elementary class for 46 years, double knee replacement. And what she said to me, the last thing she said to me, see, abolitionists, they never see the fruits of their labor. They're fighting for something that they will never, ever see. I want equity and excellence in our schools. And my mama would say, I will never see that. And you won't either, Louvel. But what I hope I've done is what she said to me, what I'm saying to y'all, is inspired somebody to take my place when I'm gone. Thank you. Thank you, thank you. Up next is my good friend, Kevin McGowan. Come on, man. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Louvel. That was pretty incredible. I really appreciate that. Yes, the topic this morning that I have the opportunity to talk to you about is Joy to the World, and I just want to get this off the table right away. Those of you that knew about the fact that I became the Jingle Bells guy this past year and sent me all the emails and texts about my subject and title for this presentation chosen long before that, thank you for your harassment. I really appreciate that in advance. Louvel, incredible job. Donna, congratulations, incredible job. It's awfully hard to follow both of you. Nobody follows the Rolling Stones, by the way. Like, there's an opening act, and then you're done, and that's it. I'm like the mediocre lunch meat and an incredible sandwich. Maria is going to be pretty fantastic after this also. But I'm excited to talk to you about this opportunity to lead and to love and to think about joy to the world. I'm an Irishman, though. This notion of these slides going every 30 seconds, I don't say good morning in 10 minutes. This is going to be quite a challenge, so please bear with me. I appreciate the chance to talk to you about this. And I really would like to give gratitude also for the attitude this morning and thank our president, Phyllis Harrington. Quick round of applause for Phyllis, please. This positivity, this whole notion of positivity, this whole notion of just a pep talk, which is also my way of saying to you that my topic was a pep talk, not any good content, so I'd like to lower expectations. I find that to be a good thing both professionally and in my marriage. So thank you very much, Phyllis, for setting us up for this. And I want to start to talk to you about my journey and my conversations about joyousness and my conversations about positivity. 15, 16 years ago, I was a brand new superintendent here at the Hampton Inn. I was coming into town for a legislative meeting, kind of the spring of my freshman year, so to speak. Bounced out of the elevator, all enthusiastic, ready to go down to breakfast, get my waffle at the Hampton Inn. I'm so excited about this. Walk over to the table, and those of you that remember Wendell Chu, Fire Island, back in the day, I go to sit down at the table, and I said, "Hey, Wendell, how you doing this morning?" "Fine, how are you?" he says. Said, it's the best day of my life so far. Drops his silverware. He was offended by this positivity. "Clearly, you have a distorted sense of reality," he says to me. But I like to think about that joyousness and that notion of the best day of my life so far all the time in my work. I learned it from a man named Jim Knowles, high school principal at Iroquois, who hired me as an assistant principal. You might question his judgment, especially right now in this moment. Jim was this incredible person who walked through the hallways each and every day and said that to everybody who greeted him. "Mr. Knowles, how are you doing today?" "Best day of my life so far." His kids were in the building. They didn't appreciate it so much. They thought the day they were born was a better day. But Jim was this constant source of positivity. Try it in the drive-thru at McDonald's or Starbucks. You're going to see how well it works. Nobody wants to hear about your budget problem. They don't want to hear about your crummy board meeting coming up. They need to hear from you that joyousness, that notion that this is really a fantastic day. Think about that notion of joyousness to define as a feeling of great pleasure and happiness. Go all the way back to that day when you were offered your first superintendency. Think back. Hank Grishman. It's going to take a minute. We'll wait for you. All the way back to that moment, this moment where you had in front of you the opportunity to change the world, to shape your organization, to be different, to do the things that Donna has done, that Louvel has done, that so many of you have done. this opportunity to think about in ways big and small where you could impact the world. Think about everything Donna just said to us about the students in her school district going to Lemoyne. Think about the kids yesterday that Phyllis brought to perform for us. Think about the ways that you are creating those conditions for kids to walk in your building and have an experience that their parents didn't expect them to have, for them to be loved, to be cherished, to be cared for, to be engaged in the school environment in ways big and small. And think about the penultimate moment in our organizations, graduation. Right? So they get to all the way to that place. And everything that you are doing, you're the ones that are making that happen. Everything's in front of them. I say to our assembled group for graduation, the party that's going to be out on the stage, board members, administrators, teachers, representing every department, every year right before graduation, give them a little bit of a pep talk. And I encourage them to look in the eyes of every graduate the moment before their name is called and think about everything in life that has happened for each individual, all of you, from that moment until now, professionally and personally, and recognize that you have given them the opportunity to have the world at their feet and everything that's going to come from that moment, everything you've done to prepare them. It's a very special opportunity to be a part of it. You're the ones that are making it happen for each and every one of these kids. As Donna said, as Lavelle said, as many of you say all of the time in terms of all means all, and for each child, you're the ones that are making that happen. And who else will do it if it's not you? Who else will make sure that they have what they need? It's you that are doing the things that Donna mentioned this morning. It's you that are taking care of RJ. It's you that are deciding to tutor the young person that you hear isn't doing very well in global studies and hasn't passed it yet and won't cross the stage unless that happens, but you taught social studies before you became a principal and administrator. So you say, you know what, stop down in my office. I'm going to help you out. I hear your stories. You're the ones that are doing that. You're the ones that drive kids home late at night when they need a ride, look after them when they have difficulty and perhaps experience homelessness, whatever it may be. When they have an experience that requires them to get a roof over their head and you take them in, you're doing that. Again, we hear your stories. You create the conditions for your staff to creatively and innovatively serve the needs of each and every child. You're thinking about that all the time. You've thought about that so much over the last 2 years. And again, this is a pep talk to say nobody else is doing it, you're doing it. So yes, I had this unfortunate experience that I joke about, but was terrible this past year in terms of Jingle Bells. And really what it was a local writer who decided to pick apart our diversity equity website and find a testimonial from a teacher who said, you know what, I can do better. I don't need to use that song. There's a questionable equity, race, history to the song. And by the way, I don't know why I'm using it anyways. There are 600 other two-note songs. That one's a hard one to sing. The fine arts people tell me anyways, it's not a great song to be using. So I'm going to move on and use something different. And it resulted in, yes, death threats. Coast to coast, people demonstrated their ignorance when they wrote to us. And yet this was an opportunity to stand up for cultural responsiveness, to stand up for teachers making those critical decisions. You have that opportunity each and every time. Think about the literature in our libraries. This book, Gender Queer, came up often. Many of the texts are being questioned. You have the opportunity to lift up, and you're doing it. You're pushing back in these conversations. And yes, you're managing all different politics. People have to get at that differently. It's different for all of us. But you're doing it. I was contacted by members of the LGBTQ community, students, who they said to me that they saw themselves for the first time as a human in that text and how important that is. You're the ones making that happen. And think about the lessons learned when we met with Father Boyle about 2 years ago about going to the margins and loving, and the story of Mario, who was loved as many of Father Boyle's homies through Homeboy Industries have been. You're the ones that are saving each child. The Marios. Jim Knowles taught me an important lesson a long time ago when I was at AP. He said, they're going to tell you that I try and save every child, in other words, the teachers, and they're damn right. And the moment that I'm not saving every child is the moment that I retire. That was love. Love being an intense feeling of deep affection. You're creating that in your school environments. You're modeling it each and every day through equity practices, through saving every child, through engaging every staff member and working carefully with them. You're thinking about it when you provide a safe environment and an environment where kids are having the experiences of a lifetime. I want to say, too, each of their stories should be written. And I was reminded of this actually this past week when a parent approached me walking into a concert, said, Dr. McGowan, can I give you a hug? Yes, absolutely. And I actually wanted to say, and who are you? I was trying to figure this out. Fully masked, the whole deal. And she introduced herself and reminded me who she was. It was 6 years ago, she said to me, you saved my daughter's life. And by the way, the you is not me. This isn't an ego conversation. It's what you do all the time. You called me in the middle of the night to tell me that you had received the call from the Safe Schools Helpline, the dreaded phone call that somebody was trying to hurt themselves. And we found my daughter, we helped my daughter, we got her the help she needs, and now she's this successful human being who was saved by that. You are the ones that are doing that in thinking about every child, taking that call, making sure those systems are set up. You're making sure that our children have the supports that they need. You wouldn't choose any one of the children in the stands in this picture to not have that experience. You're making sure that it's there for all of them, attending to their mental health needs, their social emotional needs. Nobody else is doing it but you as leaders in the state of New York, and nobody's doing it better. You're making sure that there is space for all of it. Somebody should tell this poor young man that those scooters are not nearly as much fun in practice as they are in theory, and his fingers are going to pay the price. Yet you are making sure that he has the opportunity to learn that valuable lesson and lose a couple of fingers. You are making sure that kids have what they need each and every day, every one of them, and enjoying the heck out of it. The opportunity awaits to make a difference for the children in our communities, to think deeply about how each child will get what they need, and each child will be engaged in our school environment. This is just a thank you also to you for leading the way, inspiring all of us, inspiring me, inspiring every leader in this room, as you attended to the incredible challenges of the past 2 years. It just cannot be said often enough. I've said it 14 times at least. It cannot be said often enough, the work that you've done in thinking about each individual child as your own and caring for them in that way. This is my why. These three young people, Peter, Charlie, and Emma, I've talked to you about them probably way too many times. I say to every one of our new teachers in their final interview, why should I trust you? Why should I trust you on behalf of all other parents that would want to ask this question? To work with my children, the centers of my universe. I love all the kids in our district, but I really love mine. Especially Emma. She's by far my favorite child. There's not even a question. So why you? I'm just kidding. I really love all of them. But I say this, my fourth grader Emma, why should I trust you? With her moment in time to learn and grow and develop. So are we thinking about each child in that way? And if they can sell me on that answer, then they should work with all the children in our community. So at the end of the day, thank you. Thank you for being colleagues who inspire me. Thank you for being there for each other. Keep connecting with each other, rely on each other, but also keep thinking about that difference that you're making with each individual child. The results in the state of New York have never been better, and they've never been better because of all of you. So I also hope at the end of the day you can just think about that then in the terms of Mr. James Brown.
Wow, I feel good.
And thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. It's my pleasure now to really help you feel good by introducing my colleague and friend, Dr. Marie Wiles from Guilderland. Marie, come on up.
Well, good morning, everybody. I'm going to talk in a minute about social emotional wellness and talk about giving yourself stress. So let me start by saying this. To thine own self be true. What can Shakespeare teach us about our own social emotional wellness? Social emotional wellness is a hot topic in schools right now, and rightfully so. We all spend a lot of time thinking about whether or not we've created a safe space for our students to learn and a safe space for our faculty and staff to work. We know that belonging, feeling connected is at the heart of social and emotional wellness. But I'm thinking about all of our social emotional wellness and asking this question: is there a safe place to lead? Even in the best of times, the job of the superintendent is anything but safe. Add to that, living through the drama and the trauma of a once-in-a-100-year pandemic, and things have escalated even more. We had to make terribly difficult decisions and felt out of our comfort zone at times. It can be lonely at the top. So you ask, well, why Shakespeare? Well, first of all, I'm an English teacher, and I can't help but wonder what the master of drama and trauma would have to say about our world right now and leaders in it. And then there's this odd coincidence. Do you know that Shakespeare wrote most of his plays during the time of the bubonic plague? Shakespeare was an actor by trade, but the theaters were closed for health reasons. Sound familiar? So he turned to writing, and writing he did. He wrote prolifically. This morning I'm going to take a couple plays that have what I believe to be some timely and timeless lessons about what to do and what not to do to be socially and emotionally well. And I'm going to start with the tragedy of Macbeth. At the beginning of the play, Macbeth is this well-regarded, popular general in the Scottish army until he is visited by 3 witches who tell him, someday you will be king. He is immediately consumed by ambition, and his wife spurs him on to go ahead and kill the king so he can have the throne. Well, he does this, and immediately he is racked with guilt and paranoia, and he has to keep killing more people to protect himself. And little by little, over the course of the play, he becomes more and more isolated from everybody that he knows. Now, I'm looking at a room full of ambitious people, let's be honest. But my message to you today is to be the opposite of Macbeth and to think about the value of your relationships, the connections that you make at a place like this today, the power of your networks, but also the willingness to ask for support when you need it. And then, of course, never forget your family. But another group you have to think about all the time is your Board of Education. The quality of your relationship with that board should never be taken for granted. And you have to remember that every May, there's an election, and 1 or 2 people may join your team, and then you have a whole new board. And you have to be mindful of those important investments in time, goal setting, retreat planning, and good old-fashioned open communication. And the same is true for your own leadership team. I believe you need to invest time in developing that group as a cohesive and collaborative, not competitive team. You need to invest time in their professional growth as individuals and a collective. Because face it, you can't do anything without them. And if they're spending their time competing with one another and undoing their efforts, you're not going to win the game. And then, of course, there's family. The center of this photo is the center of my life. My husband, Tim, my son, Ben, our dog, Trixie. Tim and I started late. We didn't get married till our early 40s, and when we were trying to have Ben, we used to joke, my biological clock wasn't ticking, it was on snooze. So we are grateful for every precious moment of our time together, and we celebrate it. Another lesson from Shakespeare is about sleep. So you might not know this, but after Macbeth killed Duncan and his very best friend, Banquo, he couldn't sleep, nor could Lady Macbeth. They'd wander their drafty castle at night, racked with guilt, imagining bloody daggers. Well, guess what? A lot of times we wear our inability to sleep like it's a badge of honor. We're lying awake at night and can't get to rest. But look at what Macbeth says about the magic and the wonders of sleep. Methink I heard a voice cry, sleep no more. Macbeth doth murder sleep, the innocent sleep, sleep that knits up the raveled sleeve of care, the death of each day's life, sore labor's bath, balm of hurt minds, great nature's second course, chief nourisher in life's feast. In other words, sleep is really important to recover from the day before. And we all lay awake at night. I'm as guilty of that as any of you. But my argument would be it's better to lay awake at night thinking about the problems before us rather than the issues and concerns or maybe mistakes we made behind us. There's a million tips for how to get a good night's sleep. You know them all. I struggle to follow them myself. Get 8 hours, have a routine, turn your screens off, don't eat or drink too much at night. But the reality is, the thing that'll help you sleep at night is doing the right thing. Which brings me to my next play, which is The Merchant of Venice. Sitting here without his shirt is Antonio, the Merchant of Venice, who borrows money from Shylock in order to help out one of his friends. Well, there were supply issue chains back in the day then, too, and Antonio's ships didn't come in time to pay his debt. So Shylock wanted his due, which was, if you don't pay up, a pound of flesh. And in comes Portia. Portia is probably the most well-respected female character in all of Shakespeare. And she dresses, actually cross-dresses, as an attorney and successfully argues that Shylock can have his pound of flesh, but it can't be an ounce more, it can't be an ounce less, and please don't shed a drop of blood or you will have forfeited your bond. She uses her wisdom and her wit to solve a problem and to give her best friend a good ending and the play a happy ending. Well, isn't this what we do too? We use our wisdom, our wit, our resourcefulness to try to serve our students well, and often without a path that's clearly defined, as we've all learned over the last couple of years. We've made it the best judgments we can. Sometimes they go well, sometimes not so well. Which leads me to my last lesson from The Merchant of Venice, and that's this: we are all human. Shylock was not a beloved character in this play. He wanted his bond, he wanted his money, he was bitter, and actually he probably had some good reasons to be exactly that. But he's still a human being with feelings, with vulnerabilities, and guess what? So are you. We have plenty of days when we're not the most popular people in our community, but we are human beings. So let me summarize so far what Shakespeare tells us about social emotional wellness. Number one, don't be Macbeth. Stay connected. Be a part of a network. Do the right thing at every opportunity. When you take the high road, you can in fact get your rest. And when you get your rest, you do better work on behalf of our kids. So before I wrap up, I want to go to the title of my presentation here, To Thine Own Self Be True. This is a line from Hamlet. It's spoken by Polonius to his son Laertes before he's going off to college. And what Shakespeare wants us to remember here is this, and I think it's a really important lesson. Know yourself. Know your values. Be honest. Have integrity. Because when you are at peace with yourself as a person, you will be at peace with yourself as a superintendent. And that will be at the heart of your social and emotional wellness. You need, in the end, to be yourself. There are as many different ways to lead as there are people in this room. You are all unique. Your hope shouldn't be to try to lead like someone else. Be yourself, but always remember, stay connected, honor your relationships, and do those things outside of work that matter to you, your family, your friends, your hobbies, exercise, whatever it might be. Because at the end of the day, there probably is not a safe place to lead. When you are leading, you are taking calculated risks. You are putting yourself out there, and you have to on behalf of our students. And it's all worth it. When we land in June, that fateful day when we're handing diplomas to our graduates, and we know that we have prepared them to be successful in the next act in their lives, we have done our job. And as the Bard would say, all is well that ends well. Thank you so much.